People of the verse, welcome back to this channel. This is the Eradicator, and today is Friday. It is time to review our Inside Star Citizen episode. We are now greeted by Jens Lind, lead FPS programmer. He is, I think, from Germany, based on his accent, and he's going to talk to us, along with Jared and other people of CIG, about something that's really important here in Star Citizen. We're talking about the Issue Council, something that I often mention in my videos because let's remember, guys, I know that it sounds cheesy at this point, but after all these years, we are still in alpha because this is a game that we are building from nothing. There was no previous assets, no previous studio, so that's why it takes a long time, unfortunately. And that is what this episode is going to be about. It's going to be about showing the process of what it takes to report bugs and why is this useful for the devs. So we're having a look right here at the issue council, which I hope you are familiar with. They are basically telling us how long, how many issues that, how many reports they need to have so that they consider an issue is valid or not, and how useful it is basically for how they are going to prioritize those issues, which ones are more important than others, which ones are more repetitive than others. So let's have a look. Let's listen to what they are saying here, and we're going to analyze this episode step by step.
My hunger meter, I'm a bit low. I know I need to go and get something to eat. So I head down to the fruit market and I buy a piece of apple with the streamlined new interface we got. And it comes up into my inspect post. It's all looking great. And just as it does, I notice all around me players are appearing with an apple in their hand.
Yes, they're talking about a bug that we've seen. Well, we didn't see it, but it was in the Evo Caddy patches. Basically, what happened during that bug is that players would randomly have food items in their hands, and they wouldn't even know why. Especially, this happened a lot with sandwiches, but also apples, hamburgers. And we are going to have kind of a throwback to the old Bugsmasher's days. They are going to break down this particular bug, explain to us how they fixed it, and also how the issue council played a big part in identifying that bug. So I kind of really like this approach, especially now that CIG did win its case against Crytek, which was mostly because Crytek was complaining. I mean, part of the lawsuit was that Crytek was complaining that we could see some of the code in the calling or in the Bugsmashers episodes. So I'm glad that we're having back finally after all these years, we're getting to have some bug smashing back into our community content. I think that this is great. Now, having kids on stream and kids on videos, I know what this is about. This is happening a lot on this channel too.
That's good. That's the money shot. Well done.
So, food for
We
thought.
have a wonderful QA team all over the world, but there are some issues that...
Guys, what they're saying, we have wonderful QA team from all over the world. Guys, we, the players, are the QA team. Let's remember that because we are not really players at this point. We are still alpha testers. We're millions of alpha testers, but we're still alpha testers. So we're still contributing at this stage in 2020 to fixing the game, to helping the devs fix the game as much as they can and give us on the long run a more polished experience. Let's keep that in mind.
That we can detect faster at scale with a lot of players playing the game, and that's where the Issue Council comes in. The Issue Council is a tool on Spectrum where players can report new bugs, they can contribute to existing bugs, and they can priority vote bugs they feel are most egregious.
Yeah, you guys should regularly... I try to fill at least one report every day. At least every time that I play, I try to fill at least one report if I find something. But it's really great to see that a lot of players are using this tool, because most of times when I find a new bug, they, oh yeah, I found this bug. I've never seen this one before. I go to the issue council, and it turns out that maybe 10 or 20 people have already reported that bug. So all you have to do, instead of just thinking, oh no, I'm going to have to report a bug, it's very bothersome. No, you don't. Usually, 90% of cases, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is go to the issue council, type a little summary in the search engine. You're probably going to find your bug. Just click on I can reproduce, and that's pretty much it. It takes you 15 seconds at most.
Use that contribution system, if it gets to a certain level, to pull those bugs into our system.
Look at that here.
To pull those bugs into our own JIRA, and we use the priority voting to figure out which ones are the worst.
I think the issue console is one of the really big benefits we have with a live product. And also the fact that they can
This and I totally understand, because this is not a tool that devs would have in a regular game that is, developed in a traditional manner, where it's usually more secretive. Here they basically have at their disposal, as I mentioned earlier, millions of alpha testers who do help them identify some bugs that they might not have had identified in their own with their own QA team. How many people do they have working QA? Maybe a dozen people in England, and that's pretty much about it. So the fact that they can rely on us, the players, to really identify all of these bugs that a smaller team would not have, time or resources to, is a huge advantage, I think, compared to the development of other games.
provide repro steps. How did they get there? What did they do? Sometimes you do something unexpected, and that's what's creating the bug, and it's hard for us to reproduce without knowing that's what you did.
We determine an issue is valid by the number of contributions it has. Once it hits a certain threshold, in the case of
10.
the live issue council, that's 10 contributions, then it gets confirmed and we realize it's a valid issue. So when I first saw this particular bug, players were reporting that food was randomly appearing in their hands, which is obviously a little bit strange. I went into the game and checked it out, and
Look
sure
at that,
enough,
guys. I'm gonna interrupt it. Look at that. This is awesome, because we're getting to see again the screen of a game developer who is here to fix bugs, and we haven't seen that in a very long time because of that lawsuit against Crytek that was lost by Crytek, and now we're getting to see some bugs being smashed again. I love that. I know that today it's kind of a filler episode, but if we have filler episodes that are showing us about how bugs are identified and fixed by the devs, I think that we have quite of a winner here, quite of a great solution, until we have more juicy content for the upcoming patch that is going to be, in this case, Alpha 4.0.
you could be riding the train, you could be flying your ship, whatever, and just hamburger would just appear in your hand. I thought it was convenient. I kind of wished it happened in real life.
Obviously, really, really funny bug. For me, it's kind of almost a feature. At the time, obviously, didn't realize that it was taking money out of your account.
Yeah, so this is something that people were talking about in the EvoCaddy forums. I'm not an EvoCaddy, guys, but I had access to it. So this is what people were talking about in the EvoCaddy forums is that at the beginning it was great because they could test, for example, the eating animations, but then they were realizing that, as they're going to say, money was being deducted every time that they had an item that randomly popped in their hands. So obviously this was not something that could have happened in the verse. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would have been very upset to have money randomly being deducted like that. But watch this, guys, because they're going to explain how that bug actually happened, and it's really interesting.
You were paying for that freebie food, so it wasn't that much freebie anymore. Discussed it quite a lot with Kian. We kind of went through the code kind of a bit backwards to see where exactly is this extra piece of food appearing from, and then over time we kind of traced it back to this purchase logic that was executing on all machines, and send it over to Spencer and his team.
The bug made its way down to me because I was responsible for implementing this.
By the way, I absolutely love his t-shirt. If there is a way that we can buy this t-shirt on the merch store, I'm totally getting it, because I thought that it was really the interface of Star Citizen. This is brilliant design.
New feature of picking up food when you buy it from the store. And so the issue is not just that we're spawning fruit in your hand and charging a UEC, but you could see ridiculous scenarios where you'd reach off to grab this item and slide across the universe to get it, because the way the carryable system works, trying to get that in your hands. So initially, my thought was, okay, this bug might have to do with how the item is getting picked up and how we network that. Because I used a functionality we already have called post-spawn action on our carryable items. So when you have that set...
Oh yeah, look at that, guys. Once again, we can see some codes. Finally, we have gotten rid of Crytek. We're getting Bugsmasher. And I like the approach, this approach that consists of eliminating one hypothesis after another until you finally identify what really is the problem. That is, that is programming at its core, and it's awesome that we finally get to be able to see what those devs are actually doing, how they are working, what is their process. That is also what I personally want to see. Why I am backing this project is because sure, I'm not part of the development team, but as a backer, I am a financial support of the project. I want to have an eye on what's going on, even if it's just a quick peek over the shoulder of the devs, like basically it is here. I still want to be informed, and I still want to be part of the whole programming process, just even if it's a little peek like this, and even if I have no idea about what this is here, what is showing up here in the screen. I personally don't. To me, this is all gibberish. I still appreciate the gesture of the devs taking us the time to respectfully show us what they're doing and how they're working. This is really an improvement. And a lot of people were saying that it was not possible to do that before because of the lawsuit. Now that it's gone, and people were saying that, oh, we're going to see more of Bugsmasher's type of episodes. And the fact that we have one here is very reassuring to me.
Since this item is spawned, it says, oh, somebody's trying to carry me, I need to be picked up, let me request that. Thought there was something wrong with the networking there. And this was a total dead end, and was not at all what the problem was. So later down the road, I was investigating our new quick buy feature, which is you'll see in shops, instead of just saying like, oh, buy or try on, there's also now a quick buy option that you can get. And what that does is it circumvents the need to like, oh, buy, open.
Which is, by the way, a very convenient way to buy, especially if you're buying armor or clothes, for example. Just randomly click on quick buy. You don't need to go through the Mobiglass, which also is quite time consuming, a little bit cumbersome. So yeah, good job here from the devs to implement that new quick buy option. Good quality of life improvement here.
Buy. Okay, buy. All right, we got it. As with a lot of things, adding a new feature suddenly breaks things, because this was totally the problem. And the reason is because we circumvent that Mobiglass step. When you interact with something in the game, it's all server authoritative. And so like, oh, if I'm going to try to pick up this item right now and I reach and grab it, the server knows that you did that. It tells everybody else that you did that. And so here's where the problem is. Normally, when you interact with a shop item and you say, okay, there's the thing, I'm going to interact with it, I'm going to open my Mobiglass so I have a chance to buy it. Opening the Mobiglass is something that only happens on your client, right? So when everybody else gets told about this interaction, they say, hey, Spencer just opened up his Mobiglass, but like, it's not your Mobiglass, so don't worry about opening it, there's not a real Mobiglass there for me on your computer. But when we circumvent the Mobiglass and we say, hey, this person tried to buy this thing, essentially everybody would get this interaction call back and just say, I want to buy this item. Everybody else doesn't have that step of, oh, I don't have a Mobiglass for that character. It went right to the buy. Just spend their own real money because somebody else tried to make a purchase.
Well, I think that this bug is absolutely hilarious because that's what they were talking about before. Somebody is buying something, and while somebody else is buying something, everybody is buying the same thing at the same time. And that's because with this special feature, they decided to get rid of the Mobiglass. I thought this was very, these are the joys, I guess, of programming and making video games. Sometimes you encounter these very funny situations. But yeah, it was one of those typical cases where you implement a new feature, it breaks everything else, have to fix it again. And, we are still quite a long ways until Star Citizen is complete, a very long way. So we should expect this to happen again and again and again, plenty of times, unfortunately. But at the same time, that's also why we're here. Let's remember that.
So in the end, the fix was actually pretty straightforward and pretty easy to implement. It was only a few lines of code, really. But as with a lot of bugs in our game, the hardest part is tracking down why the issue is happening in the first place, going down several dead ends and saying, okay, this is really where the issue is. Let's just put a couple lines of code in, let's prevent this scenario from happening, and now we're good. And it's really great that for issues like this, we have the issue council to bring up, like, hey, this bug is happening when we have a lot of players and they're in the same location and stuff. Things that are harder for me as a single developer to try to reproduce on my own machine, and that is easy to go unnoticed with just one person.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about here. This is why they need the Evo caddies. That's why they need Waves 1, and that's why they need the live servers at the same time with as many people as possible reporting bugs in the issue councils, because they are just single developers on their machines. They cannot do all of the actions that we're doing. Sometimes they don't even think of doing what we're doing in the verse as well. This happens quite a lot too. And they need our creativity, they need our imagination, and they need sometimes, how we sneak around the game to see if features get broken or not.
It's super important, and it's a really great thing, and it's one of the things about this project that adds to the whole life cycle. That it's all live, it's all there. You're always playing almost what we're doing as we're doing it. So it's a direct connection between us and the players.
Way back when.
All right, well, that was great. Sure, it's a filler episode, but if we have filler episodes where we can get to see how bugs are being smashed instead of having a corporate episode about producers or bobbleheads or the QA team, which is just not showing how they're doing QA. I think that here we have a winning solution, and if this was Jared's idea, then kudos here to Jared for showing us that. I think that there was quite a demand to see bugs being smashed, and if we can have like an interesting bug being smashed on inside Star Citizen every now and then, I think that this could be a great compromise when during times when there's not much to talk about, like just after a hiatus, for example.
When games like Wing Commander pioneered the use of in-situation comms calls, where NPCs would call into a screen in the player's cockpit and provide exposition or react to current happenings in gameplay. For the upcoming Squadron...
Yeah, CommsCon, we need definitely improvements with CommsComs. Right now, they're not working so much. We don't have, I think that the ATC at Lorville and Eslin at Levski are somewhat working, but it's still a little bit buggy. And when we are calling each other from Mobiglass to Mobiglass or from ship to ship, it doesn't always work so well. So they need to work on it. It's great that they're going to show us what they are working on here in Inside Star Citizen. Good idea here again.
42. This feature is being brought into the 21st century by the Comms Calls Strike team, who are working to develop a systemic solution that can stand up to scrutiny from all angles, while providing an experience that is both diegetic within the game universe and relatable to players who, today, have video calls as a regular part of their daily lives.
Little Easter egg here with the current ongoing situation, because yes, of course, to all of the people out there who are unfortunately on lockdown, you have to rely on video calls for work. And it's interesting that, in the 20th century here in Star Citizen, we were also having to, in the 30th century in Star Citizen, we also have to rely on those video calls, and that they are not working so well. Here, they said that it's Squadron 42. I think that this is a little bit of communication here because, yeah, sure, they're going to be very important in Squadron 42, but we are also using them in the PU as well. So I guess it's an interesting case here where one of the features from Squadron 42 is also used in the PU, and whatever improvements we get for Squadron 42 is actually something that everybody's going to benefit from in the verse.
So comms calls.
Oh, that's cool. They put the camera here inside the screen of a ship.
A communication system from ship to ship, and with Squadron 42 involving the player taking the role as a pilot, it's their primary use of communication.
Nice! Brilliant! Brilliant!
Oh, look at that Buccaneer here. Okay.
What we're currently doing with Squadron 42 is you can even see the person who's communicating to you. You know they're right there next to you, and they...
But I think that this is already something that we can see in the verse. I mean, I remember that I did a little bit of combat mission. I could be wrong, guys, but I did a few combat missions in 3.9, and sometimes we are having to take down some enemy NPCs, and I'm pretty sure that I did see the comms here when they are talking to me. At least we can hear them, but can we see them also on screen? I guess please tell me in the chat down here if this is already the case or not. Sometimes my memory is
even
failing.
Fly over to them and see them animating and talking to you. So we have 4 types of comms calls. We have Cockpit, we have Terminals, we have Mobiglass, and we even have FPS weapons.
Terminals. Have we ever seen terminal calls? I don't think that we've seen terminal calls, but probably in bigger capital ships is something that we will see. Maybe when we have the, when we are in the Idris, for example.
We are currently shifting our focus to the Cockpit comms calls towards gold standard. Gold standard is a term used in the industry for when a feature team or any kind of development team focuses on one aspect or one feature of development, and we take full focus all the way to the end delivery of it.
This is something, guys, that we are seeing a lot in the PU as well. There's been a lot of gold standards that were already available to us. The original gold standard, for example, one of the original gold standards was Miles Eckhart, which was a gold standard for NPC mission givers. We also have a couple of gold standard professions, like mining profession, for example. And we are going to see more and more of these. We've seen gold standards for ship manufacturers as well, like the 600i for Origin. Just let's take that as an example. Maybe probably going to see the Mercury as well for Crusader Industries further down the line as well. So it is a process that CIG is repeating over and over again, and it helps then repeat the same process quicker and quicker as they have to reproduce it. Another type of gold standard that we are experiencing in the verse right now is the whole Stanton system, which is where they are going. Which is where they learn all the different processes of building an entire star system, and they are going to reuse those processes further down the line as we're gonna get Pyro, as we're gonna get Nyx, and probably Terra in midterm.
This includes making sure that helmets for pilots are lit in the correct way to deliver a good performance on the face. We have cameras set up per ship, so maybe some manufacturers will have a different camera setup to others. We also look at the skeleton and animation of the pilot themselves, making sure that each character...
Oh, look at that. Let's go back here. This is quite an interesting Easter egg. This is OMC. So we know that OMC are the bad guys of Squadron 42, one of the bad guys of Squadron 42. They have somewhat of an old mining station that they reconverted into a pirate base, and these are the guys that we see, for example, in the Squadron 42 trailer when they arrest those guys and they say, "We are OMC." So this is the first time that we get to see an OMC uniform, I guess, or at least the OMC logo. So an interesting little Easter egg here for those of you who may have not noticed it.
Animation of the pilot themselves, making sure that each character brings their own personality, even to their flight pose, as well as their delivery of their lines.
So yeah, so bad news. Looks like we're gonna have to fight Buccaneers when we're gonna fight the OMC, which is really annoying. I hate fighting that ship. It is very, it's very nimble and small. It's really hard to target. Fortunately, it's a glass cannon, but it's also hard to target. So it's a very annoying little ship to fight, especially if there are large quantities of Buccaneers. Kind of reminds me of the TIE Fighter in the Star Wars universe.
The IMC's gonna kill you and all your mug friends.
There you go.
Due
The
to
OMC
current
is going
state
to
of
kill
the
you, as they
PU,
say.
the comms calls are pre-recorded and delivered based on context. Ultimately, it'll be working the same situ as Squadron 42, where all dialogue lines will be played in real time, as it adds that next level of immersion. For instance, maybe your wingman is comming you that he needs to get these pirates off his back, and he's getting shot at left, right, and centre by their energy weapons, and they're dynamically lit.
Oh yeah, let's have a look at that again.
And he's getting shot at left,
We can
right,
see
and
that.
centre
We
by
can
their
see the
energy
laser
weapons,
shots.
and they're dynamically
There,
lit in the
there.
cockpit.
Oh, that's
Last
pretty
thing you want
cool.
to see is all these blaster fire on the cockpit, and then just have a pre-recorded animation of an unlit cockpit.
Yeah, this is one of the that's one of the things that is so amazing with Windows Stars. Every little attention to detail. What they don't want, for example, they don't want a ship to be in trouble or being damaged. And then when you look at the cockpit call, everything is fine. They just say, "Oh, I need some help here," but there's no warning light, there's no sparkle. So they don't want that from happening. They really want to feel that. They want you to feel that the NPC are gonna have to help, or the player they're gonna have to help is really in trouble, and that is going to be adding to the whole immersion.
Can really break the immersion. So the team is really coming together to bring a terrific cockpit experience for the player of Squadron 42. We have over 100 characters with hundreds of dialogue that's delivered all through different ships, different circumstances. I'm sure it'll be an experience to remember.
It is going to be an experience for remember, guys. I don't know how many of you guys are really eager to play Squadron 42. I don't think that we're gonna see Squadron 42 this year, especially with the world being on lockdown. but this is really something that I'm really anticipating. And I can't get enough of those Squadron 42, even if it's a tiny, tiny, tiny little segment here, where we have a tiny, tiny little bit of footage, like the OMC, which is which is here, this OMC pilot. Even that is just enough to have to crave my needs of regular Squadron 42 updates. So again, thank you CIG and thank you Jared for showing us that, and that's pretty much it. For this Inside Star Citizen, guys, please tell me what you thought about this episode here. It was obviously a filler episode because they're not quite ready to talk about 4.0. I still think that they need to work a little bit more on it. They still don't know which feature is going to make it or not. But if we can have a little bit more filler episode like that with a little bit of bug smashing and Squadron 42 update, then I am all for it. That's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Later today, we're gonna have our giveaway video. So we're gonna see who is going to be the winners of the April giveaway. So stay tuned to the channel. I'll see you guys later. This is the Eradicator. I'm signing out.